Now, this is in continuation to Act 5. We discussed on the previous turn regarding Prospero speech of gratification, in which Prospero was gratifying all the spirits and the entire spiritual world, thereby considering them to be a big helping hand, creating a tempest. We also discussed regarding the Prospero's identity. What identity we discussed as to Prospero is nothing without the presence of music. Sorry, without the presence of magic. Magic in the sense like being a normal human, he would definitely not have been successful in taking the revenge. No doubt he followed the path of reconciliation, but he would definitely not have been able to make others realize as to what mistakes they had done. Now here solemn music again, the importance of music as to how Shakespeare had also used it, thereby concluding the play. Here enter Ariel before, when then Alonso with a frantic gesture attended by Gonzalo. Frantic gesture attended by Gonzalo, Sebastian and Antonio in a like manner attended by Adrian and Francisco. Francisco we are introduced in this Act 5, who is the only character, who is the single character in the entire play who is possessed with hardly a single speech. And besides that, Francisco, they all enter the circle which Prospero had made. They stand charmed. So the circle which was created by Prospero, which is the magical chasm, which Prospero observing speaks, a solemn air and the best comforter to an unsettled fancy. Now here what this Prospero is speaking, the music is what? The music is described to be a solemn air. Music is described to be a solemn air, and the best comforter is described to be a therapy. Underline this and mark it as music is also described as therapy by Shakespeare because it soothes up the mind of the people. A solemn air, a calm and quiet air. A solemn air which is be filled with music, and best comforter to an unsettled fancy. Best comforter, it is the best therapy to an unsettled fancy, to an emotionally disturbed mind. It is a best solace to the distracted mind. It can cure the brains. It can even cure the disturbance, the distracted brains, the disturbance in the brain and the distracted brain. Now useless, boil within thy skull. Now useless, boil within thy skull, in the sense those distractions, they are actually useless. Those distractions, they are actually useless. They boil within the brain. They boil, they create disturbance within the skull. They stand for you are spell stopped. Who is you over here? You here is, he is acknowledging to all those people who are standing within the circle which was created by Prospero. So what he says that there stand for you are spell stopped. You are standing over there, for you are affected by magical charm. There stand because you are motionless, you cannot speak up, you are affected by the magical charms. Holy Gonzalo, underline Holy Gonzalo. In this concluding part of the play, we get to know that Gonzalo is the best character in the entire play. How can you say that Gonzalo is the best character in the entire play? He is appreciated by Prospero also. Most of the time he was concerned with his duties, we discussed. Like a noble man, he had followed Prospero initially when he was the Duke of Milan. Then it came to Antonio. When Antonio became Duke of Milan, then he followed him. But out of mercy, out of generosity, out of compassion, he had helped Prospero also. His old master, thereby providing him his books and other necessary materials when he was set out on the ruinous sea voyage, which was without any proper boat but was loaded in the carcass. right? Carcass, a rotten butt. Then besides that, not only this, he helped this King Alonso also, and was continuously trying to console him in the entire play that he should not be grieved because of the loss of his son, and tried to explain his brother also that when it is the time, when the time is required in order to soothe the person, we should always provide him the soothing balm rather than rubbing the sore. So these entire points for the character sketch of Gonzalo are very important. Even Shakespeare, through the mouthpiece of Prospero, had appreciated him a lot, and here he is acknowledging him like an honorable man. Mine eyes even sociable to the show of thine. What he says, Gonzalo, the spell that I casted upon you is now losing its effect. Holy Gonzalo, honorable man, mine eyes, even sociable to the show of thine, they are also showing sympathy. They are also showing sympathy towards you. Holy Gonzalo, you are an honorable man. Even my eyes weep sympathetic tears on seeing the tears in your eyes. Even my eyes weep, my eyes shed sympathetic tears on your tears to show of thine fall fellowy drops. Underline fall fellowy drops. What is fellowy drops? Fellowy drops are the tears. What are fellowy drops? Fellowy drops are the tears. The charm dissolves apace. Now the magical charm is dissolving. The spell that I casted upon them is now dissolving, and as the morning steals upon by the night, melting the darkness, so their rising senses began to chase the ignorant fumes that mental their clear reason. In the same manner, like when the sun arrives and night has to depart. When the sun arrives and night has to depart, so their rising senses in the same manner when the magical charm is not working out. In the same manner, when the magical charm is not working out, their senses are revoking, their senses are coming. Began to chase the ignorant fumes that mental their clear reason. Now, those ignorant fumes, like previously, they were quite ignorant of the happenings in the surroundings. Previously, they were quite ignorant of the happenings in the surroundings. What is happening now? Now those fumes are disintegrating. Now those fumes are disintegrating. That mental their clear reason. That mental their clear reason that had covered up their clear reason. Meaning to say that the fumes of ignorance, they are now subliming, they are now moving out of their brains, giving way to their reasoning. Giving way to their reasoning. So here, oh good Gonzalo, let us repeat the speech once again. Here Shakespeare is considering the air filled with music to be a solace, that is a solemn air is the best comforter. Solemn air is the best comforter to an unsettled fancy, to the distracted mind. Solemn, calm and quiet air is the best comforter to an unsettled fancy. Cure thy brains. This music may cure your brains. Now useless. Why they are useless brains now? Because the brains are distracted. Why they are useless brains now? Because they are distracted. They boil within the skull. There stand, for you are spell stopped. There stand. You are standing there because you are stopped by the magical spasm created by me. Holy Gonzalo, honorable man. Now he starts acknowledging to Holy Gonzalo, thereby saying that looking at his tears, his eyes are also shedding the sympathetic tears. So, looking, honorable man, mine eyes even sociable to the show of thine. Even mine eyes, they are quite sociable to your show. They are following the fellowy drops. They are now following the fellowy drops. Even my eyes are shedding the tears in your sympathy. The charm dissolves apace. The charm is now dissolving. The magical charm is now dissolving, and as the morning steals upon by the night, as when the night arrives, the morning when the sun arrives, the night has to disappear. When the sun arrives, night has to disappear. In the same manner, their senses are revoking. In the same manner, their senses are revoking, began to chase the ignorant fumes, began to chase the ignorant fumes in the sense that the ignorance, the darkness, it was chasing, it is now subliming. That mental, their clear reason, that is covering the clear reasoning. Now Prospero is shifted to Gonzalo. O good Gonzalo, you are my true preserver and a loyal serf. O good Gonzalo, you are my true preserver, you are my true savior and a loyal sir. To him thou follow, I will pay thy grace home both in word and deed. You are my true savior and a faithful follower. You are a faithful follower and a loyal sir. To him thou followed, I will pay thy graces home both in the word and in deed. So what he is saying, he is trying to explain that whom you give service, to whosoever you have given service, I really am gratified word by word. I am really gratified word by word, and the deed, the virtues you have done. To the deeds, both in word and deeds, I am really gratified to your words and to your deeds. Most cruelly did you. No doubt you were very much cruel. No doubt you were very much cruel, Alonso. Use me and my daughter. You have used me and my daughter. Thy brother was furtherer in the act. So here, when when he's acknowledging thanks to Gonzalo, what he says, "Oh, good Gonzalo, you are my true preserver. You are my true preserver in the sense you are my true savior. Oh, good Gonzalo." Now he is shifted to Gonzalo, thereby saying thanks. What he is saying, "Oh, good Gonzalo, you have saved my life. You are my true preserver and a loyal sir. To him follow, I'll pay thy graces home both in word and deed. I am definitely going to give you services, and I am quite gratified to you both in services as well as in your deeds. Most cruelly did you, Alonso." Now he is speaking to Alonso. What he is saying, that you have done that most cruel task. You have done that most cruel task. You have used me and my daughter. The brother was a furtherer in the act. Your furtherer is accomplice. तुम्हारे भाई ने तुम्हारे इस हरकत में तुम्हारा साथ दिया. Your brother was accomplice in the act. Thou art pinched for now. And the way you have done the misdeeds, you are punished for now. You are punished for now, Sebastian, flesh and blood, you brother mine, that entertained ambition. Flesh and blood, you brother mine here is Antonio. You brother mine here is Antonio. So what he is saying to Antonio, flesh and blood, you are my own flesh and you are my own blood. You are my own flesh and you are my own blood. You have betrayed me, you have cheated me. You have betrayed me, you have cheated me. That entertained ambition expelled remorse and nature. You have given more way to your ambition. You have given more way to your ambition. You gave more priority to your ambition rather than giving the privilege, to your blood. Further, what he says, expelled remorse and nature. You expelled out remorse from your nature, whom with Sebastian, whose inward pinches therefore are most strong. You along with Sebastian, your conscience has already gone. And the way you behaved along with me, that is more pinching as compared to others. That is more pinching as compared to others in the sense, because when own flesh, when own blood betrays, it is really more stinging, and that sting is the strongest one. So what he says, I forgive you for this. I forgive you for this, unnatural though you are. Underline unnatural though you are. Why he considered his brother to be unnatural? Because it is really impossible for the one who belongs to our own flesh and blood to conspire for murder. So his real brother conspired against this Prospero, and it is really quite an unnatural act on the side of this thing, Antonio. So he is saying, acknowledging him to be unnatural. Their understanding begins to swell and approaching tide. Now their reasoning is coming back. Now their reasoning is coming back. Oh, good Gonzalo, my true preserver, he acknowledged, thanks to Gonzalo, calling him to be a true preserver and loyal, sir. To him thou follow, I'll pay thy graces, I'll definitely follow you, will gratify you, both in word and deed, in my words as well as in my services. Most cruelly did you. You are the most cruel one, Alonso. You have used me and my daughter. Thy brother was furtherer in the act. Your brother also was an accomplice in the act. Thou art pinched for now. You are punished for now. Flesh and blood. This he is acknowledging to Antonio. You brother mine that entertained ambition. You gave more priority to your ambition. You have along with Sebastian expelled out remorse from your nature, and your pinches, your sting is the most strongest one. Why? Because it is unnatural. Unnatural in the sense that it is really difficult for me to believe that mine own flesh and mine own blood is going to betray me. Would here have killed your king. I do forgive thee. Unnatural thou art. You are quite unnatural. Their understanding begins to swell, and the approaching tide will shortly fill the reasonable shore. Now, what he realized, that the people over there, their understanding is beginning to swell up, and the approaching tide will shortly fill the reasonable shore. The tide, the approaching tide, that is the tide of reasoning, it will be filling up their minds.